Welcome back to the Cyber Union. My name is Michael, your host for this video. Today we are going to go over a couple of topics we wrote about in a blog this week called Discovery and Service Detection. And both of those are a part of the enumeration we're going to be doing before we do any exploitation activities. Our host we have Kali running as our testing platform. And that can be downloaded for free, and it's pretty standard in the security circles. As our target, we have Metasploitable 2, which is also free and can be found on Vuln Hubs. We'll post links to both of those in our notes for you guys. One caution to make sure you're doing here is to make sure both of these VMs are placed in host-only mode. And that's simply because you're running some vulnerable operating systems, and you want to make sure that other people on the network can't get to them and exploit them. Only you should be able to exploit these. So we want to take some security precautions here, as good security practitioners that we are. Alright, so don't worry that we're not covering any of the attacker methodology in this video. We're going to be doing a whole series on the rest of those, so make sure you stay tuned. Now, if we do miss anything, let us know, and we'll be happy to add some more videos with that type of content. Without further ado, let's get going. Alright, so we have everything in host-only mode. You're going to be hearing some clicking from my keyboard in the background, just ignore that. First thing we want to do is to see what subnet we're on and what our IP address is. We can do that with the command ifconfig, and this is simply the Linux version of ipconfig that tells you about your interfaces and what IP addresses are assigned. Here we have F0, which is the default interface for Kali, and then we also have LO, which stands for loopback. So you can notice that it is indeed your loopback address, your home address 127.0.0.1. Perfect. Next thing, now that we know what subnet we're on, we also want to then go and figure out what our IP is of the target we have set up. I didn't cheat and go look on the host. We're going to do this as you would in real life. So to do that, we're going to be running Nmap, and we're going to be running what's called a discovery scan, which means we are limiting what we're doing to specifically ping sweeping. There's a bunch of different types of scans you can do here. You can do send scan for discovery. You can do all kind of crazy stuff. We're just doing the simple ping sweep command, which is -sm. To also say we don't want to do any type of service enumeration. We just want to simply scan something. So let's do that. And we're going to use our subnet, and we're going to assume this is a class C. So we're going to copy the first 3 octets, which is 192.168.83. Going to add a 0, and then we're going to append a /24 to stand for /C. That means only the last octet changes. So we're going to scan 0 through 255 in the last octet. We'll let that run. It should take about half a minute to complete. And we should see all the hosts that are on the subnet. Now be aware, in VMware specifically, we're going to see a couple of hosts that are probably not familiar to you. And these will be virtual network devices that are up in the VM network. Now, if you're familiar with network concepts, usually the very beginning and the very end of network range is reserved for network devices. And we do see that here with our .1 and .254. So here's your .1. Here is your .254. So those are VMware. And we can see that here. Now, we know that our address is .39. So this must indeed be Metasploitable 2. Perfect. So now that we know what host we're working with, let's go ahead and make sure we scan the TCP ports to see what services are listening actively on this host we've identified. We use Nmap. Again, this is our Swiss Army knife for network scanning. We're going to do a TAC-PN that says, hey, we've already discovered our host, so we don't need to do that again. So let's just skip that step. And then we're going to do a TAC-P-TAC, which is shorthand for all ports for the specified protocol. And then we're going to do attack SV, which means we're going to enumerate the version of the services listening and running on this host that we discover. Now we also want to discover the operating system. Nmap does its best guess, and it'll usually give you a percentage of what it thinks the operating system is if it can't put a finger on it precisely. Now we're also going to be lazy here, and I'm going to speed this up with a TAC T5, which just basically shortens the timeout and how long it's going to wait for a response back from the service. So this is just because, like I said, I'm being lazy, and the number here can be anything from 1 through 5. 5 being the fastest, 3 being the default. So we're going to run fastest, and it's kind of considered in documentation as insane speed. Now the final value here is going to be the host that we're going to be scanning. So just to double check, it should be .129. You're going to take that and drop it in here. We'll let that run. Now this could take a really long time to run, or it could be really short. It just depends on your network speed, the amount of ports that are open, and the response of your target host. We're going to let that run, and when it completes, it should give us a list of ports that are open and the services running on them. Alright, so movie magic, we're going to speed things up here, and we have our scan completed. As you can see, we have quite a bit of ports open, ranging from port 21 all the way down to 59,000, and all kinds of different types of services running. We got Apache, Netkit, FTPD, some kind of root shell already open. So these will be the ones that we're going to be taking a closer look at in future videos. Right now we're going to kind of stop right here. We're just enumerating the version numbers, which we have indeed, the type of service that is listening, which we also have done, and we wanted to scan all the TCP ports, which we've also done. And again, we're going to use that later as we progress through our enumeration phase. Now we also want to go ahead and do a UDP scan. UDP is a slightly different protocol than TCP. It is a lot slower too. According to official documentation, if you scan all UDP ports, it could take you about 18 hours, which is terrible. I have things to do, I don't have time to wait, right? So we're going to limit the amount of ports we scan using the TAC F option. And that just says, only scan the top ports for me. Now, in a real scenario, I would encourage you to scan all the UDP ports, as sometimes there are things listening on there that you would not otherwise find. And that's just for completion and for your customers if you are in a pen testing engagement. Now, we need to specify that we are doing UDP, and we do that with attack SU. So that's UDP, not TCP. And we also want to do service version detection, because we want to also understand what ports are open in the versions of the services listening on them. Now let's drop in our IP address and let it run. Now I have already actually completed this, so we'll do some movie magic and take a look here. This is all the ports that are open. Again, we see a variety of things open with their version number, if it could identify it. And that's pretty much what we want to get in this phase. We want to know what our targets are, what type of operating system may be running on it, what types of services are actively listening, and on what ports those services are on, as well as their version numbers. This will allow us to continue to poke and prod them, look for additional vulnerabilities, and progress with our attack methodology. Now, this is a very small part of our attack methodology, but it is very important. If you don't have this information, there's no way you can progress with your attack, because you don't know what you're attacking, you don't know who you're attacking. So make sure you do this to completion. Now, our future videos will dig into enumerating these services more and enumerating web services specifically, because web is a whole different discipline in itself, and it does take quite a bit of time on its own. So we'll do a separate video specifically for that task. We're also going to be doing videos on the rest of the attacker methodology that we've outlined in both videos and blogs. So with that being said, that's about all we're going to cover today. If you have any questions, let us know down below. If there's anything you think we missed, please let us know down below and share it with the rest of the viewers. And if there are any topics that you wish we should cover, also let us know. Like, share, and subscribe this if this content is helping you, to let others know it is valuable. And until next time, we will see you. Enjoy and hack all the things.